Yeah, yeah. We good? All righty, we're going to get started. Is everybody ready? Good deal. All righty, everybody welcome. Today is March 20th, 2024, 5 o'clock work session. If you all would please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Alrighty, we now have Miss Leslie Sanders. Hey, how are you doing tonight?
Pretty good. How are you?
She's a member of the Unitarian, right?
Yes, Unitarian Universalist.
Perfect.
Brought to you by Interfaith Council.
Thank you for being with us.
Jim likes us to say that. Let us pray today that you begin this meeting with your minds and hearts open so that your work will be able to blossom and flourish in life-giving ways. May you view each other and the communities you represent as partners, comrades, and friends on a journey headed in a direction together towards wholeness. May your voices be gentle and purpose-filled. May your energy create space for everyone. May your hands open to one another to help when needed. May this meeting speak of a shared future as you transform the community through acts of love and justice. May it be so. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much. All righty. Do we have anybody that would like to give public comment? Please come forward. Please state your name, and you have 3 minutes.
Okay, I'm Anna Marie Rosen. I'm here to talk about the Dark Sky Hayride. And I do have some images. Is there some place to put a...
Andrew, can you come in here? We got a flash drive, please.
Okay. So, International Dark Sky Week starts April 2nd and runs through the 8th. The 8th, of course, is the eclipse.
Okay, I'll do my best, but it takes some time to load.
Okay, go ahead. And we formed a chapter within the Audubon Society to bring to the attention of the public dark skies and the importance of dark skies. And it affects several things. First of all, birds. 70% of all birds do migrate, and they do it mainly at night, and they're confused by all the bright lights. So LED lights in the blue portion, or the blue wavelength, tends to distract them and cause them to go off course, and they only have so much energy. It causes them also to run into buildings that are brightly lit, which they confuse with navigating by the stars. So we wanted to bring the public's attention to this, came up with the hayride idea of people will come to the Salvation Army location, their parking lot, and ride on hay wagons through Fort Hill, and we have a number of stops designed. First, we'll talk about wildlife at risk, and this includes birds, bats, insects, and also turtles, not applying here, but in the Caribbean, that they're also confused. Though many of the Caribbean islands have enforced lighting protection or shielding lighting so that it's not confusing the turtles who then come back to shore and get eaten by animals. It's also affecting human life in that people are losing their ability to fall asleep because they're exposed to so much bright light, and they're not shutting down the way they would be if we had actual night. And here we are. This is our poster for the Dark Sky Hayride. It's Wednesday, April 3rd, which is the Wednesday after Easter. So we can go on to the next slide. This demonstrates lighting, and that on the left is unacceptable lighting. It's full amount of light going in every direction. We have street lights that are close to the very bad example. Between very bad and bad, that lighting is still spewing out into the environment more than humans need to just see where they're going. And then better is to shield the light around it, add a collar, which is something we could do with street lights and other lights. And then the best thing is to turn off the lights. One of our members in the Audubon Society talked to some churches about their special lighting going up to the steeple, and it stays on all night, and couldn't it turn off at maybe 10 o'clock, or when people are no longer around, and it'd be cost savings. And they said, oh my gosh, we turned it on last summer and we've never turned it off. So, giving some indications like that. Next slide, please. we have 2 billboards that are going to be put up. One is Protect the Night, and talking about protecting the night, especially during this migration time period, which is pretty much the month of April. I talked a little bit about how it affects birds and people. We also have Dan Price, who does the astronomy article in the State Journal, will be talking about different types of lighting here in Frankfurt. So we'll go to the overlook from Fort Hill, looking down on the city of Frankfurt, and point out where there's good lighting and where there's, lighting that doesn't need to be there that's affecting bird migration.
So is this something that, is this slideshow, because your time's up, so I'm trying to be...
Okay, but one last slide.
All right.
This is our other billboard, so one will be on the east side, one on the west side. But
Okay.
yes, that's my presentation, so I hope everybody can make it to the hayride. It's 7:30 to 9:30, and we'll be having successive rides across the time period.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Where will you all be meeting? Where's the
Right.
hayride starting?
We're starting from the parking lot of the Salvation Army, so it's
Bottom of Fort Hill.
sometimes called Blanton Acres area.
Yeah.
So it'd be on the Buffalo Trace side, you just wind back there, and so we'll start in that parking lot, then go into Fort Hill.
Thank you.
And the City Parks has joined with the Audubon Society to do this, so they're doing the driving, it's their trailers. So we didn't have any extra expense there. But we encourage everyone to come. Yes, Sherry?
Thank you for coming tonight. About what time is it going to start? Is it going to start about dusk or?
We're starting at 7:30.
7:30.
And sunset is at 8 o'clock.
Okay.
So it'll still be light. I'm hoping for a big cloud over the sun as it sets. But, so we'll have a little bit of light, which will be good for some of the presentations, like Rachel Peak is doing the animals at risk, and so she'll be able to show some things. And then the human aspect will be shown, and then hopefully by the time people get to the panorama, they'll be able to see the lights of the city and realize how much light there is and that it's not necessary. It would be a cost savings for state and local government as well as for citizens to turn off lights that aren't needed, especially in the middle of the night where it's affecting birds even more.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Just one. Do you know if the neighbors of Blanton Acres have been made aware of this? Obviously with additional traffic.
I talked to Alex Cunningham, and she said they always tell the neighbors in that area, and we haven't done that yet, but it's still 2 weeks away. We will be doing it. I did talk to the Salvation Army, and their Bible study group ends at 7, and they plan on joining us. And they were very gracious about allowing us to use their parking lot. So we will be talking to those neighbors. She said that things have gone well, like Haunting on the Hill, they had 3,000 people show up. We don't expect that many. But that they handled it, and the neighbors were satisfied.
Yeah, there's a great neighborhood association over there, so, okay, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Any other public comments?
Good evening, members of the court. My name's Brent Swager. I think I know all of you here, but tonight I'm wearing the hat of a member of Walk Bike Frankfurt. And so I just wanted to give you just a quick little snippet of some things that are going on, and maybe we can take a little bit more time and get on the agenda in the future to talk more in depth.
It's a 3-minute snip, right, Brent?
I'm going to try. So, we all understand that it's important to create walkable communities, bikeable communities, because it's critical for our quality of life, the desirability for people to live here, the health of our residents, and then mobility for people that don't have the means to drive yet or have lost their means to do that. So there's 2 ways you can work toward that. One is to have zoning regulations that support the type of development that creates walkable, bikeable places. The other is to create sidewalks, trails, and bike lanes that allow people to do it. So Walk Bike Frankfurt has been around since 2007. In fact, we've created the first master plan for walking and biking in Frankfurt. Then it's been updated in 2016, and we're working on an update of that right now. Had a public survey that had over 200 responses, identifying some of the needs that are out there. One of the things that has been brought up time and time again is that in our community, we don't have enough places for recreational riding, recreational walking, running, that kind of thing, for longer distances. We have, of course, Lakeview Park, but really besides, and then Riverview Trail, but really, we don't have a lot to offer in that means. And so I've passed out some sheets about a couple of the projects that have rated real particularly high. One is the 5 Mile Loop, which is in the Bowl area of Franklin County, so kind of downtown. It starts in downtown, goes along the Riverview Trail, would eventually connect up to Cove Spring Park, and then come back through around parallel to the Home Street corridor. So that's one. And then the second one, and so there is actually a grant that's been applied for the first section of that. The city put an application in for that. The second project is the Capitol View Park Millville Trail. And that's kind of two pieces to it. One coming from the South Frankfort neighborhood along the Old Lawrenceburg Road corridor, crossing the river and getting to Capitol View Park. And then the second piece would be following an abandoned rail line that starts in Capitol View Park and then would go basically south to the Millville area. So we could, should this move forward in the future, it could be a nice amenity for residents, but certainly also an amenity for tourists to come in and either recreate by riding or stopping for a drink and then trying to ride back. So my time is probably up, but I'll answer any questions you might have. Just one last thing on the Millville Trail is, a recommendation for consideration in the future would be to create a group that is charged with working towards making this a reality. So having some people assigned that have an interest in this and could have some focus to find ways, including funding, to make this project work. So within government, but also interested citizens, and I think there are probably a lot of them that are out there.
Brent, thank you. Any questions? Laura Wisman.
Some comments, Brent. I don't think we got anything but one handout. They're all the 5 Mile Loop. There we go. It's been 5 years ago, I think, that I identified this 5 Mile Loop possibility and led several groups since then to do this. I think there's a tremendous opportunity in our community to think about connectivity through walkable trails, bikeable trails, etc. And we have a real blessing because we have some remnants of old rail lines and other existing infrastructure from the past that can be retrofitted very easily. The 5 Mile Loop downtown that goes under a culvert that nobody knows is there under Wilkinson Boulevard and connects perfectly. It's exactly a 5 Mile Loop. It's amazing. Is the beginning of something that then has multiple offshoots. There's an old rail bed that goes all the way to Georgetown through Schweitzer. There's the Millville that goes through the under Cemetery Hill to Capitol View Park and then all the way to Millville. There's a fantastic trail if we get the Broadway Bridge done. Everyone is asking why do that, because it opens up the entirety of the western part of Franklin County to downtown to explore a trail out Benson Valley Road to Red Bridge and some things out that way. So I think Walk Bike for taking the initiative to push these efforts that I think will be in the end, really tangible, beneficial elements that add to our quality of life in this community that we've never seen before. So I'm excited that you're presenting on it and that it's moving forward. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. And that is an interesting point you talked about on the 5 Mile Loop. There is an old railroad tunnel that many people don't know about it because it's just not seen from the highway, but it actually exists on Transportation Cabinet property. So it has a possibility to make that connection without having to bridge it or have an at-grade crossing. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Brent.
Brian.
Any other public comments? Alrighty, seeing none, I believe Allie's here to talk to us about her annual report. How you doing, Allie?
Great.
Good.
Good evening, members of the court. So I compiled all of our solid waste data for the year 2023 and did this infographic for you guys to see. But basically what we have here is for trash, the tonnage we received decreased in 2023 from 2022. Recycling tonnage increased, which is exciting. We had 445 animals composted at the livestock composting pad. And we had an increase in yard waste tonnage from 2022. The Yard Waste Wednesday drop-off program remained successful. And compost giveaway program, we gave away compost to 209 residences from our livestock pad. The voucher program, we had 1,548 people utilize that, different users. And you guys are familiar with the litter abatement grant. We had 303 road miles covered, county roads picked up by community groups, and that was 19 groups this year, 688 bags of trash. And so this past year in 2023, we had $362,642 in grant funding from the state awarded. So these grants help fund that diversion goal and keep waste out of the landfill as much as possible. So.
Squire Wisman.
Ally, thanks for the information. I was wondering if you could just plug the opportunity while you're here at the beginning of the meeting for cleanup day coming up.
Yeah, we have our spring clean event on April 27th, and so that is an event where we collect hazardous waste. It's very important to keep that out of the landfill. So anything in your household like cleaners and batteries, e-waste, we take that. That's Rouse Avenue on the 27th of April. And on that week as well, we're doing dumpsters all throughout the county where residents can dump on the 27th. And so just keeping illegal dumping at bay with that as well. And then, let's see, we do the scrap metal collection with soil conservation. That's Thursday, Friday, and Saturday that week. And I'm trying to think what else we provide that week.
Will we have tires this year?
We are collecting tires in Franklin County in the fall of 2024. That's our tire collection event. Yeah, but a lot's going on that week, so we're posting that on our social media and we're running ads. That's what a lot of this grant funding goes toward as well, is just promoting these events.
Squire Sebastian.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you for being with us. So the waste tire has rotated to Franklin County this year?
Yes, in the
So
fall.
I know a number of counties can come and drop tires here when that happens. It's not just for Franklin County, but it has rotated to us. Great, thank you.
Yeah, we promote it in surrounding counties,
Yep.
but technically anyone from any county can bring tires at that event. And that's really managed heavily with the state program, so it's a good program.
Any other questions for Ally? Squire Tanner.
One question on the scrap metal collection with the conservation department. I'm sure y'all sell that, or somebody sells that. Do they get the money?
I'm not sure where the funds go with that, but I need to definitely loop in on that because I'm needing to get the total tonnage as well, so.
I believe that
They-
goes
they
towards
keep it.
scholarships. Well, yeah, and they use that
They
as part
use
of their
that.
scholarship money that they give out every
With the
year.
conservation district?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
they use it.
Okay.
Squire
Ally, I
Black.
noticed you had 28 tires from ditches with the roadside pickups. What do you all do with those tires?
We
Just
keep
hold
them
on
all
to them?
year, and then we have grant funds, then we apply for that in the summer, but the state helps us dispose of that through a contractor. So those get hauled off, yep.
Thank you, Ally.
All right, thank you guys.
Thank you.
All righty, next we have Duke, our road superintendent. How you doing tonight, sir?
Doing well, how are y'all?
You've been a little busy lately, haven't you?
We have been busy.
That's a good thing.
Our road crews have been doing a little shoulder work out in Orrington Road. We actually done the entire old Orrington Road, cut the shoulders back, done a little ditching in that area. We got crews out Lebanon Road right now, replacing a bunch of culverts that are in really bad shape before it gets paved here in the very near future. And we've got a lot of ditching to do out that way. We've got our mow trim back up and running. And got a tree crew out, cutting trees in various areas. Actually yesterday and today, they were up at the park. Charlie had a few trees up there he needed taken care of, so while it was dry, we done that. And coming along pretty good. As you can see here, our road department's going really well. They're actually putting the hoops up on the salt barn last couple days. It's coming along pretty well. They got our garage. They're putting the plumbing in it right now, so hopefully we'll get an inspection on the plumbing tomorrow, I believe, or Friday. Then they'll get our floor drains in and get some concrete going. I'd like to thank Republic Services. I don't know, Andrew, you got the pictures of the things they donated to us? They donated 8 backpack blowers to us, and all of them work. They're in great shape. Actually gave us 3 leaf vacuums, really nice vacuums.
Nice.
All of them run. I mean, they did us a huge favor here. So just like to thank them.
Yeah, absolutely. All righty, who has questions for Duke tonight? All right, I'm gonna go ahead and ask 2 things.
Yes, sir.
Any progress on when our new mow trim will be in? Because I know that's a hot topic.
We talked to them last week, and they're saying middle to end of July.
Oh, wow, okay.
And, and if everything goes well, then we'll actually might get it a little earlier, but he's saying July.
I believe the picture
And,
there is
yeah,
the new.
this is our new compost building up there. Just got completed, I think Monday. He finished it up, so we've got a little concrete we've got to pour in it, and hopefully we can get some equipment inside, get our new screener and everything, compost screener, put in out of the weather. It's a really nice building.
Yeah, well, good. I have another thing. If your guys are back at the park, I noticed there's some Bradford pears around that lake I'd love y'all to cut down. They're blooming right now, so
Yes,
if they're
we're actually working it by the lake tomorrow.
Yeah, if they're back out there, it'd be nice to go ahead and knock those things down, because they're not good for us.
Sure will.
Yep, perfect, thank you. All righty, thank you very much, Duke. All righty, we're gonna run with Judge's report now. Jail Task Force met on March 4th and the 15th to discuss maintenance issues at the jail, also the agreement with Anderson County, and I believe our jailer's here tonight to kind of go over that and the SAP program that they're proposing. Finance Committee met on March 11th. We had a request from the Humane Society that we'll talk about in the Finance Committee and then bring to the court. Strategic Planning met on the 14th. Most department heads came, talked about their budget, big ticket items. Most everybody's looking for vehicles, to try to update fleets and things like that. So administration code is being reviewed. Squire Sebastian, Squire Tanner are helping with that. I think we've nailed down the bereavement leave policy, and we're working on some other things. Budget discussions with all departments are complete. We finished those last night. We're going to have 3 upcoming meetings scheduled for April 1, 2, and 3. Basically about 2 hours each day for the Finance Committee to kind of go through the budgets. And then on April 15th at 4 o'clock, we're going to do a committee of the whole to kind of start talking about this year's budget. On March 5th, it was a great day to be in Frankfurt. We did the MLK March, which was pretty amazing. 60 years that they did the march, and I didn't think a whole lot of it until I was actually doing it, and to see some of the people that marched 60 years ago was pretty moving. Capital City Museum did the breakfast, and I want to give a shout out to the school system. They bust between the city and the counties, and then Shelbyville showed up too. We had over 1,000 kids there alone. So it was really cool to see a couple thousand people marching and paying respect to that. Most of us attended 5th and 6th, the KMCA Spring Conference, just working on continuing education. On March 12th, some of us attended the Governor's Prayer Breakfast. That was a nice event. They had a past player from UK there speaking, and U of L that's doing great things with kids all over the state. So we appreciate that event. It was very well done, and appreciate K-State for hosting it. It was a great morning, I'm sorry. Also, had a great meeting with the First Lady. We talked about multiple things between our park project and everything else, but what came out of the conversation then was she wanted to come read to some of the Wanda Joyce Robinson kids. So last week, I think we met at Thornhill, and she read to some kids, and it was really cool. They asked her to sign books and things like that, so it was a great event. On March 15th, and I believe Barbara's maybe here for this, if you'd like to stand up and be recognized. So we did proclamations, the mayor, the governor wrote one, Derek Graham, for the 100th anniversary of the Garden Club. And Barbara's here to be with us, and they started in March 28th, 1924, and it's amazing what they've done over the years. They've done everything from planted thousands of trees, shrubs, flowers, removed invasive plants. They've done work at the cemetery, chapel, Cove Springs, all over. And it was a great event. I was really shocked that they pulled off the venue. It was at the Lieutenant Governor's Mansion, which is a very cool venue. So there was some serious ladies in that room. So would you like to say anything, Barbara, since you're here?
Just thank you all for all the help the county and does for us, and we hope to do another 100 years of volunteering for the county.
We look forward to you coming back and telling us about it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. The last thing on my judge's report, I'm going to hand over to Squire Sebastian because she's been working on it. It's our Easter egg. You want me to go ahead and do it, or you want to do it? I have it all written out here, but I know you know it like the back of your hand, so.
Thank you, Judge.
Absolutely. Sorry, I should have gave you a heads up. That's my fault.
I just roll right with it.
That's right.
So the county will participate in its 5th Easter at Lakeview Park. We are proud to partner with the Sheriff's Office again for the 5th year to do that. We are having a return sponsor of Traditional Bank for the 5th year as the headline sponsor for that event, and they will be joined this year by Jason Dunn, State Farm. Having those sponsors enables us to have 15,000 Easter eggs to have on hand for a variety of age groups, and they will range from birth to 9, and they will be in different categories so that there's the opportunity for each age cohort to find eggs. We will have the Kiwanis Club here that will help us with registration. Last year was the first year we tried online registration. That helped us tremendously in kind of getting our arms around the number of kids that would be in each area, but we wanted folks who don't have the opportunity to register online still be able to register that day, so Kiwanis will be helping us with that. K-State University is going to get involved with the event, and they have been involved again for all 5 years as well. They typically do the hiding of the eggs, and they have a wonderful time with that, so that's fantastic. Stewart Home School will be back with us again for the 5th year. They have a dedicated area for them to hunt for the Stewart Home kids. And then last year, we initiated a sensory-friendly area. So this year, we're going to have that back. It was well-attended last year, and we're looking for those numbers to go up. And I want to thank the court for each individual member of this court who provided the funds so that we could buy Easter eggs that have silly putty in them. So these are your silly putty eggs.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And these will be in the sensory-friendly area, and I'll kind of mix that. And they are color coordinated. My green silly putty doesn't want to come out of my egg, but they're all color coordinated. So that's a really cool thing. So I truly want to thank the court for that. Also, we're going to have a variety of community organizations. Paul Sawyer Public Library will be on hand, and they will do a craft station as well as have an obstacle course, and at the end of that, you get to run through a bubble stream, so that's pretty cool. The Imagination Library of Franklin County will be on hand, registering families who have children from birth to 5 for free books that come every month to your home for free. Again, that is a fabulous thing. The Health Department is going to have a coloring station there. We have a number of students from Franklin County schools who will be on hand, and that's the Dance Club, the Drama Club, the Key Club. A variety of groups have gotten together, and they'll be doing face painting. So we'll have that face painting area set up in the Robinson Pavilion and have enough area for all the kids who want to be face painted. All the other activities will be in the Hancock Pavilion. Certainly, I want to thank the fire department and our road department because they're going to have vehicles on hand at the event. And I know the fire chief always ensures that there are those plastic fire helmets available and sometimes coloring books. So that's a wonderful opportunity for us to have community interaction with people who may not be in a crisis when they need those folks. So that's a great thing. Our Sheriff's Mounted Patrol Unit is going to be on hand, so that's always a hit with the kids. Our PVA is going to be on site. He has reached out about being on site to not only have candy, but to talk to individuals about homestead exemption and some things in their wheelhouse that they typically aren't public-facing as many of the other groups, and this is a great way to make themselves more public-facing for questions or comments. Certainly none of this would be available without Lakeview Park, so I can't thank the staff at Lakeview Park enough for all that they do to get the park ready. Thank the road department for getting the signs out, the banners placed.
It's a team effort.
It is a team effort.
True
I'll
team
see everybody
effort.
there about
Yep.
noon on Saturday, and we'll be ready to go.
Sounds good. Thank you, Squire.
Thank you.
All righty, that's the end of my judge's reports. We're going to move on. Authorization for approval of minutes from regular meeting of February 15, 2024. I know there's some things that were not in there, and I think Kim's updated that, so should be good on those. Authorization approval of minutes from regular meeting of February 28th, 2024.
Hey, Judge, can I say one thing?
Yep.
I just want to remind every parent who comes to bring something for your child to hunt eggs with. We've had that in the past.
A basket or something,
Yes,
yeah,
where they
that's a
get
good
there
point.
and they don't have anything to
Yeah.
hold their eggs.
That's
So
a very valid point.
just don't want to forget
Yep.
that. And if folks want to recycle their Easter eggs, Allie's actually working on something that we can have if they don't want to take a lot of plastic eggs home, that they can drop those
Yeah.
off there.
That'd
So I
be
just
great.
want to give her a shout out and thank her for that creativity.
Perfect. Squire Tracy?
Aren't you going to be there with plastic bags?
No.
No comment
Funny
here.
guy.
Just
Funny
saying.
guy. Alrighty, next agenda item, approval of minutes from the March, special meeting of March 5th. Alrighty, approval of minutes, special meeting of March 12th. Alrighty, and I believe the clerk is going to come up and talk to us about excess fees. Good afternoon, Jeff.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for being with us.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This is the easy part of my job. You all have been here 10 years and you all have yet to not accept my excess fees, so I think we'll go 10 years in a row of you all accepting the excess fees. I generally wait until after the full audit's done, but I've been asked by the auditor, because the March the 15th date, to go ahead and get those in your hands. At this point, the only hiccup we could have is if something came back that we needed to pay from the 2023 calendar year, you all would be responsible. It's the first time we've done that where we haven't just held them all the way through, but our audits keep getting later. My first year was in June, my next year was in July, and then August. Last year we didn't get the final audit through until, I think it was the end of October, the 1st of November. The big thing that I want to talk about today, elections are around the corner. We're going to do the same elections at the same locations that we've done, with one change in mind, and this is down in your magisterial district, Sherry. We are moving from yes arts. We were doing yes arts for the 3 days of early voting, but we are moving to the Frankfurt High Gymnasium, the one on Ewing Street, for Election Day. We're going to continue to do this. I'm not as worried about the primary, but the general, I needed more handicap spots. I needed them on site. I needed them with no ramps. I needed people to be able to push in. The one thing I think the elections will run as smooth as they always have. The one thing that we've changed this year, we only had wheelchairs at the locations, at the 3 big locations. I'm putting wheelchairs at 10 of the 12. I'm also putting a high school gentleman or a lady from one of the local high schools at that every location, except for my 2 rural locations, to assist elderly people. We've tried to do that at just certain locations, and we have people that miss out. We had a lady last year that didn't vote because it was 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and she was at a location where we didn't offer that service, and she wasn't going to go somewhere else. So we want to make sure we accommodate everybody in Franklin County. Means there will be handicap assistance at 10 of the 12 locations. The only 2 locations and it's just not feasible is Ball Knob and the Schweitzer Fire Station. So any of your constituents that you think would benefit from any handicap assistance, please tell them to go to any of the schools and we'll be able to help them. We'll have a high school senior out there to help. Questions, comments, concerns?
Squire Tanner.
Would you mind probably rebriefing me on the schedule for elections as far as absentee ballots, et cetera?
Sure. April the 6th is when the mail-in absentees start. It's 45 days prior to the election. So you've got the April the 6th date is when the ballots can first be ordered. They'd be ordered all the way through until May the 8th. And I don't have that right in front of me. The early voting days we'll have 7 days of excused voting, which will be only in our office, which will be from the last day that you can order a ballot, and it'll run all the way through the first day that no excuse absentee opens. No excuse absentee opens on May the, let me pull my calendar out so I tell you exactly right. No excuse absentee is May the 16th, 17th, and 18th at your 3 locations. You have one on each side of town and one downtown. That's the Yes Arts Building, that's the Senior Center, and then that is the Capital City Christian Church. They're partnering with us again this is the 4th year we've been out there. So they're partnering with us again. So you have early voting at any of those locations. I really want our community to quit thinking about it as early voting and think of it as you have 3 election days. So you have Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Everything's treated as election day at this point, and then obviously election day on the 21st.
So who is, refresh my mind again, on who's eligible for a application for
a mail-in ballot?
For mail-in ballot.
You have to be either a college student, you have to have a health hazard of some type. We don't regulate this, and you have to, or of age. We don't regulate this. We allow them to get online. They order the ballot online through the portal offered by the Secretary of State, and they have to pick and choose which application best fits them. Whether they're out of town on election day, whether they're sick, whether they're a health hazard for them to come in. If they cannot and they do not have a computer, they can call my office directly. But they will have to do some things that make most people uncomfortable. They're going to have to give me their social security number over the phone. If they're not willing to do that, we can't, because we have to identify the voter that's getting the ballot is the voter that is on the other end of the phone.
Can a handicapped person get one, or are they?
Absolutely.
Or do they have to come with one of your
No,
handicap
all handicapped people have the right and the ability to a mail-in ballot. Did I answer your question?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Any other questions for Jeff while he's here?
Guys, I need to make sure that you're really pressing and letting your constituents know, especially in your areas, that early voting is not a bad thing. It's a good thing. It's a great way to keep our lines down on election day. I'm not as worried about it in the primary, but I am worried about it in the general. So I want to express that early voting is a great, accessible way to vote.
Good deal. Jeff, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
All righty, next I believe our acting jailer, Ron, is with us. I see the sheriff's with us, Laura's with us. We have a couple things to go over.
No pressure there at all.
How you doing this evening, Ron?
I'm doing well. How about you?
I'm doing good, thank you. All right, you want to start with the Durango. I know we've had a meeting about this, so you want to go ahead and talk to the court about that again.
Well, we're seeking the purchase of a Durango to transport inmates. We've met with the jail task force, and I think we've addressed their concerns about this when we discussed it previously. So I don't know what to add other than that. We have the quotes that are required.
And then Amy and myself were in that meeting too, and, we talked about that line item that he's wanting to take it out of, so she felt comfortable with and thought it would be a good move, as far as, because there is money still in that item, line item. Squire Wisman?
I can just add sort of what the committee
Okay, yeah, that'd be
discussed,
fine.
and maybe answer some questions. We went through the entire fleet of vehicles that are at the jail and really discovered that many are, more than, four are completely out of order. And we have a very limited fleet that is newer, lower mileage, and reliable for transport primarily. In fact, only really one is reliable currently that can transport outside of our community if there's a need to take
That's
some.
correct. That's the charger that the sheriff's office just transferred.
So this really is a purchase for a vehicle that would be reliable for that purpose primarily. And we've been looking at the entire fleet with an eye towards surplusing some of those that I think we'll be coming forward to us pretty soon.
Therefore, we're going to propose 4 for surplus, yes, sir.
As well as possibly some moving around, maybe a purchase out of commissary and of one of the vehicles back into our main fleet so we can then identify what to do with that. But there's a need immediately for another reliable vehicle that can transport primarily, and so that's what this purchase is for, and we felt comfortable that there is sufficient funding in the line item for the jailer's salary that hasn't been used, obviously, since we've had a vacancy to cover this and maybe some additional expenses this year. So.
Thank you, Squire. Squire Sebastian.
Thank you, Judge. Just wanted to check because the documents list this as a pursuit vehicle for pricing. So is that the vehicle package that's really necessary for a transport vehicle?
Yes, I think you could also call it the police package or that's what Ford calls it. I don't think they call it the pursuit package, but
I saw the Dodge, it called it pursuit package.
you need an appropriate law enforcement vehicle to transport inmates for their safety and for ours. And that is what that term means to me. We're not going to be pursuing anybody, and I can assure you that.
I'm just asking because it calls it that in the pricing schedule. 2023 Durango pursuit vehicle, all-wheel drive, and then it gives I'm sure a part number, WDEE75. So, but the intent is not to use it as a pursuit vehicle because my presumption is jail staff will be at the jail.
They would be
Not
transport, this vehicle is
road.
intended to transport inmates. That's its only real intention.
And also my presumption is we have looked at this for that transport purpose and won't run into a similar issue that we had last time with like side curtain airbags and some other things that don't enable us to have the appropriate corrections upfitting that we need.
That's right, because it's that police package or pursuit package there, it's intended to have a cage or put into the back of it, and that's what we'll do.
Thank you.
Squire Tracy.
Thank you for being with us. Not having the list in front of me, I know that I had several questions about all the vehicles that were up there. The vans, it's been said the vans aren't adequate to transport in, is that correct?
The vans, the vans are primarily used to transport groups of prisoners. If we have one person that's going to Shelbyville to the eye doctor, it's inefficient to take the big, huge van to do that. It's hard to park, things like that. But we use those daily. They go to court Tuesdays and Thursdays and Fridays, and we take both of them at the same time. We might have 20 inmates between those two vans. You need to be concerned about those down the road. I think right now, those vans are adequate. They're in good running order. We've had our maintenance director go through them for safety to make sure that they have the security that they need. It should be on your radar that that's coming, because I think one of them's a 13 maybe. I don't have that list in front of me either, but right now they go to and from the courthouse, so they're adequate for that for the next little bit.
I know the sheriff does a great job in regards to staying out in front of the vehicles, so as he says, that van's worth more today than it's going to be tomorrow. So has that been looked at? Have you all explore that?
We're currently in the process of reviewing the fleet. Matt Wilburn's our maintenance director. He knows a lot about that kind of stuff. I know that that's something that he's working on to see what value the vehicles that we have are, and is it something that we should approach should we try to trade them in or surplus them, and that is being looked at. I don't think we've made a real determination as of yet, with the exception of the maintenance truck. I think it is worth the most that it is right now, and it probably would be a good idea, and that's going to come up probably in the budget presentation. That's what we're seeking to do. And then in the task force meeting we had, Squire Wisman was suggested that we consider that the county buy the commissary-owned truck, because that would free up the restrictions on it. It can only be used for certain things because it's owned by commissary. And if the county buys that, then they can put it wherever, y'all can put it wherever you want to in county government where it's best suited, and, or surplus it because it's a big, truck, and those are worth, like you said, more now than they'll ever be. Maybe it's time that we replace that. That's coming. That truck's gonna need to be replaced, as is one of the mowers here in the next year or two, I would say.
Okay. And then was the Gopher car, I guess the Walmart Aaron car, was it discussed?
The Caravan, the
Yeah, the
Dodge
one
Caravan.
Yeah, the one that was referenced as the Gopher car.
That can be, that's a commissary-owned vehicle too. I think the problem with that is it's a 12, and I don't know how much it's gonna be worth. It doesn't have any back seats, and so I don't hold out much expectation for that it'll be worth much.
Okay, thank you.
Judge, if I can answer a little bit of
Go ahead,
those. I
Squire.
think in the committee meeting, we were sort of dividing the vehicles out to the ones that we're going to retain and hold and run into the ground because they're worth more to us than they are on the market right now, and then dividing the ones that we can possibly keep in a rotation. And I think the process that we're hoping to identify next, and correct me if I'm wrong, Richard, is to create a replacement schedule for those ones that we're going to retain longer term over a 10-year period, and talking about those ones that have more value that maybe are not the best suited for jail use, like a pickup truck. For instance, we have two, but one is having some problems. So yeah, all of that is, I think, coming probably within our next couple meetings.
And I know one of the things we've talked about is the quarters fleet maintenance, and I know that all kind of falls under it. So we took a dive into it just because of, his request. But I do know hopefully tonight we have somebody we're going to hopefully hire that's pretty up on fleet management and things like that will be able to help us look at the entire county fleet to kind of make some decisions moving forward. So, all right, Ron, thank you. You want to move on to the next one, please?
This is,
Nothing, except it's complicated.
this is the Burrell Pest Control. They bought Little Hawk. That has been our vendor for many years. We have been very satisfied with them. They do a good job. Price is the same, and even the same person comes to the jail to provide the service, so I recommend that we continue with that.
Perfect, thank you. All righty, next item.
So we have a proposal to house Anderson County inmates. I think we can all agree that the jail is a financial drain on the county. It's a constitutional responsibility that the county maintain a jail, but no one really wants to do it. So when you get an opportunity to make revenue, then you really have to look at that. Anderson County is looking to move from their current situation in Shelby County. I know that the judge was instrumental in working on some numbers with the Anderson County judge, and I think we are on both sides agree that for $42 a day, we will house the Anderson County inmates. We've done this in the past. There's some pros and cons. They have about 30 to 35 average inmates that are their fiscal court's responsibility, so that's who we'd be housing. The con is that that's 30 to 35 more people that might sue you, because that's what happens in the corrections business. You just get sued. However, it does produce about $538,000 of revenue. We have the staff to do it currently. We have the space to do it currently. This would not be a huge burden on the staff to add 31 to 35 inmates. We can spread them out throughout the existing population of the jail. They already have uniforms and things like that, so we really don't have any startup cost. It's basically just revenue. So it doesn't come around very often that you get this opportunity. If you want revenue, this is, I think, the right path to go. So I would recommend that we would enter into this contract with Anderson County.
Questions for Ron on this?
Comment, maybe, go ahead.
I was reading it and it was talking about they were responsible for bringing them to us. Who's responsible for the Anderson County, I guess, inmate that's released on getting them back to Anderson County?
We just let them out the door, that's on them. They gotta,
I know, it's unfortunate.
they gotta, I mean, we make every reasonable attempt to find them a ride or something. We're not gonna turn them out in the snow or anything like that. But in general, it's the inmate's responsibility.
Ron, I appreciate you working on this with their jailer. I know it's a team effort, once we came across
I was at, in the meeting, we discussed this very thoroughly. There was a couple of things that you explained it very well. 35 inmates, no additional staff needed. They're responsible for all the medical, the way I understand it, so there's no, other than being sued, as far as if you take one to the doctor, they gotta pay for it. So all that is covered. It was a couple of things. One of the things I think we talked about, and you correct me, anybody who was there can correct me if I'm wrong, but the federal rate on you delivering or transporting any prisoner that they might not want to is 65 cents, not 50. And I thought we was going to try to get 65. However, you don't want to transport anybody. They should transport their own.
I would have to look back over that and see. We did some back and forth
It's under
with
number
them,
4.
and I can't remember where that landed.
It's in number 4, paragraph 4.
Well, it does say 50 cents per mile for that, but I can tell you that it's my intention to never do that. I don't want to do that. I will avoid that if I can possibly avoid it. And that means, I think what we're talking about is if an Anderson County inmate needs to be transported somewhere, it's Anderson County's job to transport them. If they make us do it or ask us to do it, I think the contract says if we're available. We've probably got all that we can handle with transport right now. So unless it's an extreme emergency, I would not agree to transport. If they do, it's $50 per officer that has to go, which would be $2 per hour that they would pay the court.
Well, we just discussed about being a deterrent. You don't want to do it, they don't want to pay 65 cents more than they don't want to pay 50 cents.
I don't know, I would have to defer to Mr. Conley if we could change that at this time.
I don't know if it's worth changing, but it was a discussion.
But I think, Squire, I think typically if it's 50 cents plus the $50 per hour, that's probably going to be a lot more than 65.
It's going to be, it'll be 2 officers.
Yeah, so that's going to add up pretty quick. So I think your hourly rate there would put you well over that 65 cents a mile.
Normally, I can tell you what they do now is they pay off-duty Anderson County Sheriff's deputies and police officers to do it.
Transport.
And it's cheaper for them to do that.
Squire Westman, do you have your hand up?
Yeah. Yeah, Judge, I didn't get to sit into the meeting on Fridays. It was called Wednesday, and I had obligations out of town. But there's one thing that I caught that causes my concern in the contract number 22. This agreement will be terminated by written notice as outlined above by any newly elected jailer in either county. Vague to my sense. If we enter this contract, I would prefer it to be that this court makes that decision. But generally, the way that this is written, just some vagueness on any newly elected, is that immediately after an election, or can only a newly elected within the first month make that decision, or what? We need to kind of strike some of that language, I feel, there, preferably strike it entirely.
I'm going to lean on our county attorney here and see what his thoughts are.
I think if you look at number 19, either party can give 30 days written notice to terminate the contract. So that would be newly elected, incumbent,
otherwise.
whatever, because it gives 30 days right there, and either party can do it.
I suppose what's the temperature maybe of the court? I would prefer that the court may ultimately make the approval to terminate or not with that 30-day notice. But that would be my preference.
Thank you, Judge. I had a note about the same thing, because if it's coming to us to get in the agreement, how it come to us to get out of it?
I would just say we're under some time pressure. They got to figure out where they're going to go. So if we can't do this till the next court meeting, I'm not sure how that affects their They're,
I think we could make the recommendation that we pro-offer the change and that
Yeah.
change carry forward so that we don't have to come back. I mean, that would be,
Yeah.
if that's a conversation that the court wants
This
to
has to be
take.
done by April 1st, is that not correct?
they need to have somewhere to go, yeah.
Because they're gonna have to remove them from Shelby County by then.
So, what are
So,
your thoughts here? Before I'm gonna get to you.
It's the preference of the court which I want to put in the contract. I mean, the issue is going to be is ultimately the housing of inmates is upon the jailer. I know it's the county's responsibility, but if it's a situation in which you've got overcrowding or issues such as that, and it needs to be terminated, I can understand, but that can be a slower process if you have to get approval of the fiscal court to do that when the jailer, to me, is the person in the best situation to be able to make that determination as they're there day in and day out, knowing what is going on in that jail. And so, but it's whatever the court wants to put in that contract. But like I said, to me, the jailer is in the best position to know what is going on in that jail day in and day out, to know if they can or should terminate that contract.
well, you
Go ahead, Squire.
I understand everybody's concerned, but also, according to 19, they get 30 days anyway, regardless. So, the only thing that would concern me is be about Anderson County shopping the contract and looking for a $35 a day rather than a 42. So, I mean, I wouldn't worry about our jailer canceling the contract as soon as it's overcrowded, et cetera, those points you made.
I can tell you after talking to both judges in Shelby, because they came at them with a whole lot higher rate
Yeah,
to take them.
I know it's
And I know there's really no other counties around, and so after speaking to Orbre, he was very excited to be able to have the opportunity for us to house them.
But on the other side of the coin, which is the same side of the coin, I guess, since there's no staff upgrade, no uniforms to purchase, those not, for the inmates, all that's
There's really
covered.
no startup.
So if they leave, we're not gonna actually lose any money because of things we've invested in. And I believe we also discussed that this would keep us in around 300 inmates maybe at most, and what, we got 400 capacity maybe? And we need to keep it somewhere under that capacity, obviously. And we talked about 80% or something.
We'd be about
So we'd have some
260.
flexibility ourselves. 'Cause we don't know how many we're gonna have. We may have 240 or 50 next week, and they may have 40.
Over the last 6 to 8 months, we've averaged around 230. We haven't been over that. Definitely haven't been over 240, I don't think, in over 6 months. So that's been the trend. When I looked at that, a year ago, we were around 330, and I don't know why, but for the years since then, we've been around 230. So I think we can accommodate them and still be well under our maximum. And then, I mean, if we get full, we can always send them out.
Squire Dykes? Oh, I'm sorry. Did you?
No, I didn't.
I could tell you were like getting ready to say something, so.
I guess I'm a little bit concerned about, with this 30 days, what happens if we lose a bunch of people, a bunch of staff? I mean, we know it can happen. It's happened since I've been here a few times. So I mean, I'm just curious, what happens?
I would say the best analogy I can give is if you take a bus to Los Angeles, regardless of how many people are on it, it costs the same to take that bus there. The actual cost to make it go there. So whether we have 230 inmates or 260 inmates, we really need the same level of staffing, because you have to make 3 meals a day. You have to do uniform exchange.
Now, I'm talking about safety. I'm not talking about that.
Oh, okay.
I'm talking about
Yeah,
safety.
I understand. Well, I mean, they're not all gonna go in one pod. They're gonna go through our classification process that Major King does and is very good at.
Yes, I
And
agree.
they'll be put in appropriate places. We're not gonna put them all in one place. That would be bad, because all these people know each other.
Right.
And we're not gonna put them all in one place where they know each other, they run the show. We're gonna split them up so that we can better maintain and control.
Squire Blackburn.
You had mentioned transport, where Anderson County is going to do the transport. Is that including when they have court days and these inmates have to go in, so they'll send somebody up to get them.
Any transport outside Franklin County Regional Jail that's not an emergency, like right at that second, they're responsible for. And if, written in the contract is if we do have an emergency and someone goes to the hospital and they have a certain number of time to get their staff there to take over from us. And that's kind of a nod to our staff because we are still pretty short. So, I mean, every day is, you just never know.
Squire Tracy.
With the way the contract is written, is Anderson County's judge executive and jailer, they're aware that we've got a special jailer election going on? Okay. And they're okay that within 7, 8 months, you could have a new jailer come in and say, I'm done?
Yep.
Okay.
Anything else? We good? All righty. Let's go.
Can I just ask the question, what's everyone's preference? We've had two of us say that we'd like to change that number 22 line in some way.
Up to you guys. Our county attorney saying it's okay because that's
Straw poll
number
here.
19, but what does the rest of everybody think?
That gives us 30 days out. I'm just saying, define it. Is it this body or the jailer? Or if it stays this way, I would just like it to take out 3 words and put the jailer in either county instead of the newly elected. I just see a hurdle there.
Squire?
If it remains this way, I would like for the court to have contemporaneous notification, if that's the case.
I agree with that.
If it remains this way. The court needs some contemporaneous notification that action is, because it impacts everybody's budget here.
Right.
And we are the fiscal court. The jail is not the fiscal court, we are.
Yep.
Well, they would have, excuse me.
Go ahead, Squire.
I'm assuming, maybe that's the wrong thing to do, but that would drastically affect the budget. That would have to be reported immediately as soon as the next meeting. The county treasurer would surely come forth and say, the jailer or somebody would say, we're going to lose 250 to 530,000, according to what it was in the contract. So you need to make that aware of that possibility of the impact on your budget. That's the report that has to come to us immediately.
That's just what I said. It's the same thing as you.
But I don't know how we get it. It doesn't matter. I'm assuming that that's usual, standard, and customary that they do that.
Ron, what are your thoughts? Is there anything in the policy that you all have worked on where that could be added so something triggered?
I mean, I think that there's no, looking at 19, Anderson County can back out in 30 days if they want to. My concern for tonight would be, I think they met last night and voted, I'm not sure what they voted on.
Yeah.
They may have voted on this contract and then
I think they did.
If we change the wording to come right back to them, I think that's going to be
But is there something that you could put in your procedure, in your thing?
I'm sure we could, yeah, that would be no problem.
That said, if for some reason, things are cut off, that notification would happen to the fiscal court?
I mean,
I was going to say, if I may, it would make more sense to be in an admin code than it would be in a
Jack said there's
contract.
stuff, he
Because
said there's something in there now.
Right, if either party, it could be something along the
I
lines
just
of,
think we
if
need to be
either party,
notified as soon as possible.
Yeah.
if any contracts are
That's it.
terminated, it has to be reported
court's
within
notified
X amount of
immediately.
time.
Yeah.
We'd rather hear
That
it,
makes more sense.
we'd rather hear it from the jail than the state attorney.
I don't think they got it reported right.
You ain't gonna
I will just say,
I'm gonna keep my.
that has happened before.
I don't want to hear about it in the taco aisle.
Yeah.
Yep, that's happened before,
Okay.
so.
Ron, thank you.
Yes, sir.
You want to go ahead and,
Whatever your pleasure is, I think I've got a lot of stuff on the agenda, so.
next one's the budget. This is, so I want to remind the court that we are just receiving the budget. Has to be turned in by April 1 on these next 2 items for the jail and for KCDC. So Ron, if you want to go ahead and.
I'm trying to keep this short and sweet. When the sheriff and I talked about the budget, he gave me the direction of do what's right for the jail, make the budget so that you're putting whoever the next person that sits in that jailer seat is in a good position to continue with the work that we've begun there and to have the resources that they need to do the right thing. So that's really what this budget reflects. Obviously, there's going to be some, I'd like to start out with good news. We got some revenue in there. We talked about Anderson County already. We were pretty far along with State Department of Corrections in starting a SAT program that will, we have the dorm sitting empty since COVID. And we're trying to fill that for one, not just for revenue, but because there is a real need in the community, the statewide community for female substance abuse programs for offenders. Many times the women that are convicted of low-level felonies will serve out their sentence without ever getting any kind of rehab because there's not enough beds. So this would provide, hopefully, ultimately up to 80 beds. We'll probably start slow and go to 40. And once we've got 40 under control, then we'll go to 80. But I don't know if you want me to address the SAP program or just stick with the revenue right now.
It's the will of the court. I know we sent information out on that.
We think we just received it.
Well, he's asking about the SAP program. If you want him to explain anything specific about that, or...
Well, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you did.
So that's the revenue increases that you hopefully will see was the Anderson County inmates and SAP. That's a pretty substantial increase in revenue that offsets the cost to Franklin County taxpayers. Then the bad news. Our healthcare provider has hit us with a 20% increase. That comes at, I know it's certainly a great surprise to me. The causes of that are pretty simple. There has been an agreement with the U.S. Attorney's Office and a corrections facility in the Eastern District of Kentucky that has caused their malpractice insurance to greatly increase. So this is meaning that an inmate that is opioid addicted and is under doctor's treatment when they're incarcerated, taking substances such as methadone or Suboxone, we are now required to keep them on that medication during the time of their incarceration. This has not been a huge problem for us. We've had maybe 2 or 3 over the past little bit. I would say over the years, couple years. So it's not been a huge impact on us. But it is a huge impact on the medical provider because the people that can't get in this program are going to sue. They're going to sue them. And so their industry-wide correctional health care has gone up because of this ruling. Or it's an agreement, but it carries the force of law. So that's really basically where the increase is. This company was the lowest bidder when we accepted a contract with them. I can tell you that we are pleased with their service. They're very responsive. I believe the inmates get better medical care than they have with previous companies. I've worked under another one, and I don't think that it's wise to move from 3C. So that's a pretty big increase. Maintenance. So last year we were budgeted $70,000 for maintenance. We did a lot of projects, so we went through $70,000 pretty quick. We came back and asked the court for $50,000 more, which you granted us, and we're going to be okay on that this year. And we're going to spend it all, I can tell you that. There's still plenty of work to be done, but we can get by on maintenance with just your regular, not special project at 130. So that's an increase. Also in the maintenance line item is a proposed kitchen project. The tile floor is in terrible shape. If you've been out there, you can see it. It needs to be replaced. We've had a very good experience with an epoxy product in the showers that when they're completely done, I'll come back and give you a report on. But we'd like to epoxy the kitchen floor, and we just got a rough estimate of about $82,000. Thing about the kitchen is you need to do something in there every year because there's some big ticket items in there, and if you don't, you're going to get a year where you have 2 or 3 big ticket items. So last year we bought the tilt skillet, which I think was about $26,000, maybe $27,000. We don't need a tilt skillet this year, so we're going to get a little bit of a decrease, but we do need a hot cart. That's about $11,000. So that's what I would suggest. The big ticket item in the kitchen, and of course the floor. So there's a few other things in here that have gone up. I would say basically based on inflation, things just cost more. Office supplies, some of our IT stuff, but not huge numbers. You'll see about $16,000 increase in training. That is where we're putting the wellness program as part of our training program, and that's the one that we've already started and is going very well, by the way. But but that's continuing it into the next year, so. I think that's the highs and lows there. Well, I'm going to address the maintenance truck. I think it's time to surplus the maintenance truck and trade it on a new maintenance truck. I put the money in the budget to do that. I think if we did that and we made the move with the commissary truck, you're only looking at maybe some vans down the road that need to be addressed. But I think that's a need. If you want to keep your fleet in decent shape and you want to flip it before it's worn out, then time to do that here. I don't know, I felt like I rambled a lot there, but.
All right. Can I ask questions about the budget?
Sure
Or
can.
This is just a proposal that's being done by.
Right, we're just going to
April
accept
1st.
it tonight, but you're
ahead-
free to ask a
ahead of
question.
the Schedule by 10 days, which is great. On the revenue, your commissary rent is zero and it was 20,000. Is there a reason behind that?
Yes, so previously, we rented commissary, an office, and a storage space because we did it ourselves with our staff. And since we've entered into Kelwell, a contract with Kelwell, they don't have hardly any space. There's really nothing that we can rent now. They bring it in on a truck. They have, I think, we have one little desk and maybe a couple of freezers, but I couldn't really justify charging them 20 grand for that. And I think if we did, they'd just find something else to do with it and decline it.
Squire Blackburn.
You had mentioned the medical services. It's about almost an $80,000 increase. I know we've been averaging about $6,000, $7,000 a month in overages, and that comes up to about $70,000, $80,000. So with this increase, are we still going to see $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 overages every month?
Well, that's a good question. We can't, it's very hard to estimate because we don't know what we're going to get. We might, our population is sick. We might go a month and do really good, and then the 1 month we got a guy who's got a $1,500 a month medication that comes in. We have to do that. I think, something that's been a point of discussion with our staff and with some of the jail task force and the judge is that we have the cost pool that we pay monthly, so we address those every month or it seems to me it's every court meeting. Right. In the past, we have done the cost pool lump sum up front, and then you don't get into dealing with overages until much later in the year. If you have a couple months over and a couple months under, that's kind of a wash. But as it is now, we've been over a lot. I've talked to the treasurer, and she seems to think that probably paying up front is better. I wouldn't speak for her, but that's what I remember her saying. They don't really make any difference to me. I think that's the court's pleasure if they want to deal with it monthly, or do you want to deal with it into the fiscal year? Because either way, we have to pay, so I don't know.
And up front, they're holding their money in advance.
They're holding our money, they are, but they don't charge us for that. They actually, it's a very streamlined process. They reprice everything, and honestly, they do a whole lot of work, and they don't make any money off of that accounting that they do for us.
Squire Tanner.
Would I be out of order to ask questions about the SAP program?
Go ahead.
We talked about it a little bit in our meeting, our task force meeting. The medical, since it went to medical, and our medical expenses, I think for anybody who's a Class D is in that program, they would, we get so much a day, like $2 or $3 a day for the medical expenses on that person. Is
It's
that,
built into the $45 a day.
that
they
is, so
pay
we
us.
don't get anything extra for that medical?
No, unless they go to the hospital for more than 24 hours, or a certain bill goes over $1,000, and that's the.
So we're liable for
responsibility of the state.
everything under $1,000?
Yes,
But the state pays out all medical over
that's my
$1,000?
understanding, yes.
Okay, thank you. That was a concern about somebody having a catastrophic problem. Once they got there, whose nickel would it be?
Squire Tracy.
In regards to the SAP program, I'll ask, not if, but when a new jailer comes in, if this is a program that they do not want to continue, it can be dropped?
Well, it's a contract, so it would be a contract with state DOC. It's an annual contract. So once you enter into that contract, the new jailer would be required to abide by that contract, or I guess they could break it. I don't know what the consequence would be, but I would think that they would abide by that contract. I've talked to both candidates that are present tonight. It's my understanding that they're in favor of it. So before we get too far down that path, I wanted to make sure that a discussion had been had.
Squire Sebastian.
Thank you, Judge. I was looking at the expenses in the food and the linens line item. So in the food, that's a 30 to 35% increase. Are we looking at that because of additional inmates and/or inflation in food costs, or both?
It's primarily more inmates. So I think it's in line item 423, food prep. No, it's not it.
No, it's down at the bottom under
It's,
expenses, the next to last line.
425.
Yep,
Yeah, that is going to be for increased number of inmates.
okay. I just wasn't sure if it was one or both.
Yeah.
Ron, related to
And
that,
then-
is that for the SAP program and the Anderson County
Yes.
that you took into account both?
Yes.
And
Well,
then-
and I think that the 102 is, that is just SAP, let me say that. The Anderson County thing came along really after the budget had been pretty much worked all the way through. So,
And then my question in regard to the linens is the same. The linens is about a 250% increase. So is that due to additional inmates?
yes, that's line 437, I think.
It's right under the food.
Yeah, it's in, I think in your packet you have a startup cost breakdown, and it'll break down that 437 line. Linens are 13,675, one-time expenditure of buying, we're gonna have to buy some mats, we don't have enough for everybody.
Sure.
But those last 3 years, I mean, it will take, especially in the SAP program, they're gonna take care of them, they might last 5 years.
My presumption was it was the inmates, but I just wanted a clarification. Thank you.
Ron, does the linens, we had a discussion of need to replace a number of mattresses and things like that. Is that included in the one?
Yeah, we replace a few every year, I mean, we just wear them out, and then that's just built in. The additional cost you see there is gonna be for the SAP, that we're gonna have to buy some.
And this, we need quite a bit for the SAP program. Is that
We're
in
gonna
that
need-
line or
Yeah, we're
somewhere
gonna need
else?
40 to start with, so
Yeah.
that's kind of what we're working with there.
Okay.
All righty. Again, I just want to remind the court, we're just accepting this tonight, and this will be part of our budget discussion. Ron, I want to say personally, thank you for everything you've done for Franklin County and stepping up and helping run that jail with our sheriff and the team out there, so we appreciate you.
Thank you, sir. Is that everything?
I believe that's everything, unless you want to just do something else.
Well, I have one more thing in my folder that's a transfer, but I don't know if I need to propose that or if that's something that the treasurer does.
Treasurer.
Oh, yeah, it was about.
Amy's going to zoom on here in a little bit. Yeah, yeah.
I did
Thank
want
you.
to ask Ron about the SAP program, but since he did give us a little information, if we could just quickly give us sort of a timeframe for instituting that, if the state approves a application from us, could you walk us through how that timeframe into getting that developed? And we haven't really gotten into that just yet, but
Late last
timeframe
week.
for implementing the program.
Actually, I think it was Friday afternoon. I spoke with Sarah Johnson, who's I believe her title is Director of Local Facilities Addiction. I can't remember, it's a long title. She's a really nice lady to work with. Where we are in the process is that I've sent her a letter with our intentions. It's kind of not super vague, but it's not down to every detail, who's going to stay in what room and things like that. And I had a good phone call with her on Friday, and they are waiting for their state budget to be approved to know how much money they have to enter into contracts with local facilities. So that's the next thing, is I need for her to tell me, we have this number of people. And we've talked back and forth, is it going to be 40 or 80 or whatever, it's going to, hopefully we'll start at 40 and get to 80. As soon as I hear from her, then it'll be time to finish what we've been started on in the dorm. We've already painted, we've done a whole lot of renovation up there, but there's more that needs to be done. And there's a lot of stuff going on out there project-wise right now, throughout the whole jail. So that's kind of, it's not on a back burner, but I'm waiting for her to tell me that she thinks we're going to have money to have this contract. she seems pretty confident, but like anybody else, she doesn't know until she gets her budget. So that's the main place, that's where we are now. Then they will send us a contract, and we will, I guess, bring that to Max, and he will decide whether or not he feels like that's appropriate. But they only have female SAP contracts with 3 other jails. I think 3. I'd have to look at that, but I'm pretty sure it's 3. So I feel like we're going to have good participation. They seem very enthusiastic about it. The jail inspector's been at the jail multiple times, 4 or 5 times now, to talk about it and to look at the facility. So I think that's kind of where we are. As soon as I get the contract, I will get it to the court. I've talked to Shepherd's House in Danville. That is who is in the other SAP programs in the state, that is the actual provider of the programming for the women that'll be there. They come highly recommended, so I think based on what that would cost, that might have to be bid out, but they will be a front runner for that. They could hit the ground running. They're doing this in 3 other jails. They don't need us to tell them how to do it. They can help us learn how to do it. So they're very eager to be involved.
So realistically, this could begin with our new budget in July?
Yes, they only sign these contracts in July. They sign them the first, July 1st, basically, and then no one is allowed in. Like, if we were ready right now and they had the inmates, we still couldn't, they don't do that. It's not, the state only signs them in July. So it couldn't take place before then, and if we don't do it then, it'll be the next July. We wouldn't be able to say, well, okay, we're ready in December. Did that clarify that?
Yep, perfect. Thank you, Ron.
And just one other thing,
Oh,
if I
sorry,
can,
go ahead.
Judge. I'm determined that perimeter fence at the jail is utmost significance and importance, and we have a grant application in. This budget doesn't reflect that improvement at all, right? If we awarded that, otherwise, I want us to consider that we need to make some improvements there. That SAP program, the facility sits outside of the main jail facility and is wide open, so I think to be most beneficial, we need to consider, if we don't get that grant fund to support that, we should consider some element of that in our budget.
We did not put it in this budget. It seemed to me that the court wanted to see what the status of the grant was. If not, I'm sure we can come back with a proposal that
We have so much confidence in our grant writer.
I don't blame her.
It's
She's
gonna
great.
happen.
She really is.
Thanks, Ron.
All righty. Next up, Mr. Sean Cecil. Oh, and Kimberly, I didn't see, y'all hiding over there.
It's hiding in the corner.
How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Good, good,
I want to
good.
remind the court that tonight we will be receiving KCDC's budget, so we can ask any questions we want, but we're just receiving it tonight, so please go ahead.
So thanks for having us here today. I'm Kimberly, the vice chairperson on the board, and I'm joined by Sean, our board chairperson. We are here today asking for $150,000 to fund KCDC for fiscal year 2024-2025. The judge executive told us at our recent board meeting that we needed to bring it. We have to explain why this increase in the current fiscal year is needed. So as we've presented here before, we're very excited for the future of KCDC. Our chairperson, Sean, envisions big things. He sees opportunity to do things differently. Another board member, Rich, is involved with the comprehensive plan recently and provided you with a vision of how industrial growth done in a mindful way could lead to further development and more population in the county, which leads to an increased tax base. We have a new board member, David Lodmill, offering a fresh perspective. Finally, certainly not least, we are in the process of contracting an interim executive director. This person is so excited to be part of this organization and help move us forward. We can't wait to announce it. You have a group that is eager to find its way forward and make a difference in our community by growing the economy, bringing well-paying jobs to our residents, and helping current businesses find the resources they need to expand here in Franklin County. The increased funding would help us hire a consultant to update the strategic plan, which was published in July 2019. A lot has changed since then. Our proposed budget includes $50,000 for that study. As we've discussed here also, the proposed industrial site on 127 at the Anderson County border is an important project. It's going to need some TLC along the way. Once we cross some big hurdles, KCDC's role would be to market the site and encourage development that fits our community. We increased our marketing budget from our currently budgeted amount by $4,000. We'll also be administering the workforce development grant. These 2 projects may require additional staffing, and we've added that into our budget as well. This is all very exciting for the board and our incoming interim executive director. However, we're faced with some realities and uncertainties, namely some pending litigation. Though confident in our attorney's strategy for our defense, we don't know the outcome. The first hearing is in April, and our budget includes a bump in legal fees as a result. Our proposed budget is $435,667. We're requesting $150,000 from both the county and the city. And as well, we'll contribute from our coffers about $136,000. The pending litigation does make us cautious in using more of our cash reserves until that case is resolved. There has been and hopefully will continue to be change at KCDC. We hope it is change you support. Our mission remains the same, to promote economic development in Frankfort and Franklin County through the attraction of new business and industry and the retention of existing businesses by providing the resources that enable and advance the general well-being of the community. We're grateful for your continued support at whatever level. We recognize that this proposed budget is a significant bump from our previous budgets, which range from $216,000 to $260,000 per year. But our projects are bigger, our goals are bigger, and our dreams are brighter. The increased funding will put us in the best position to move forward and accomplish these goals. And finally, we invite you to invite us back to give you some updates as to how things are going, what the plans are for a permanent executive director, and how our budget is faring. We know that times are tight and that you entrust us with those public funds to grow our economy. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So what questions, Squire Wisman?
Quite a few, Kimberly, if you will
Goodness.
entertain me. You said about $136,000 in contributions from your own coffers. There is that, effectively that mandate in the creation of KCDC that private industry would contribute, which has not happened since the first year. Can you just elaborate on where those $136,000 in funds are, or what they're from, and what those, are any of those from outside agencies at all, or are those purely past revenues?
Do you have an answer?
Yeah, I don't strictly speaking have the answer. I think we, kind of a clean slate answer to that is, it was there when we got there.
Okay.
I can't answer better than that.
No, that answers. So I'm kind of wanting to revisit that mandate in the ordinance that is shared amongst the city and the county. It's high time we've done it. I've harped on it for 4 years in some of my terms. That what was originally envisioned and created has never functioned that way, and we need to reconsider it. And we have a clean slate maybe to finally do that, because there was a mandate that private industry fund at 1/3 along with the 2 local governments, and we've always picked up the bill. So
Can I ask a
just-
question back?
Hmm?
Do you know of any other economic development agency that has a model like that that's successful that we could talk to?
I don't.
Yeah,
I believe Danville has something that we were modeled after, but I don't know for sure.
Okay, thanks.
And then, can you elaborate on the strategic plan? You're asking for $50,000 for 50%, so the estimate for a full strategic plan is $100,000. And can you give a general discussion of time frame and scope of what that is?
Sure. We are asking for a total of $50,000, so it would be $25,000 from the county, like proportionally. And we know that plan needs to be updated since the moment I started there 2 years ago, a little while ago. Because the world changed a whole bunch after it was written. And so it's not entirely up to date in terms of what the needs are of the community. It's something we've talked about as a board. Rich has talked about it since the second he got there as well, that we need to get together and figure out not necessarily what our mission is, but how we're going to accomplish it. So it's a priority for us. We haven't been able to do that recently. We haven't been able to do it. So, but with this phase of where we are today, and looking forward, trying to figure out who are we and how do we do it better, this is a perfect time to have that.
Yeah, the world changed since the pandemic, and nothing should be considered the way we go forward anymore. I think we're already behind the trend in updating what our plan is, and in my feelings anyway, some of the previous plans were created without the input of this community and what the community really wants to see. So it's good that we're having a comprehensive planning process, that the citizens' vision of our community comes forward first, always, before any special interest or any segment of our population that wants one thing over another. It is always the citizens and their desires and wishes for the vision of this community. So I commend you on that. And then can you just elaborate on the $50,000 for the land? what is the scope of that, and how do you see that functioning? Is that for land purchase?
It's a transfer to land account.
It is, that's right.
Yeah, it's a transfer.
I think that's what it's referenced.
Yeah, sorry. I'm assuming that is for land acquisition or the future desires for land acquisition that we're being requested to fund. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. And final question, I think, in terms of your workers' compensation, salaries, et cetera, there's this increase. Can you reference sort of what that is looking to do? Is there a desire or a wish to hire a person and a half, or there used to be, at one point, there was 2.5? Kind of what is the vision for?
So ultimately,
the
we'll
staff?
have a permanent executive director again, and we currently have a part-time administrative assistant. We feel that with these two big projects, the product development initiative, the industrial park down 127, if that happens, and the workforce development grant, that we might have too much on our plate for the 1.3 people that we have there. So we might want to increase with a part-time project manager, a research person, something like that, just to assist. So we did have a small bump in our salary for that.
That's all that. Thank you.
And then the other things under those salaries are just math. They're percentages or per people.
Derived from the salary.
Yeah, derived from the salary.
So could I ask, so what is the timeline on the interim? And then what are your thoughts as a board on hiring full-time? Just so the court understands.
Let me go first.
Sure.
So we're trying to get the contract finalized for the interim, and we're hoping that that's very soon. Believe me, we are hoping that's very soon.
We're hoping it.
So hopefully that's done. You know, I had set a target of April 1. I don't know if we'll make that, or that should be somewhere close. I'm very hopeful of that. In the long term, I think, you know, there's going to be collection of some input from a couple of concerned people about what that looks like. I think we want to make sure that we make a really strong hire. Ultimately, you know, we want better performance than what we've seen in the past, right? So we want tangible, we want to see the dollars spinning around where $1 turns into 12. So we're looking to make sure that the $1 we spend is spent well.
Okay.
The interim position is 6 months currently, renewable for 3 months, up to 2 more times, so up to a year. Just depending on how things are going and what our needs are, we'll keep evolving.
So
And
in that process, you'll be searching for a full-time?
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to say before you all get out of here, thank you very much. I want to thank every board member. It's been a long road. I'm in most of the meetings as ex officio, but it's you all have weathered the storm, I believe, and we appreciate everything you all are doing for the community, and I think we're heading in the right direction. So, any other questions from the court?
Just one more, Judge, if I could.
Right with you.
You made me think of something. Do you have any element in the budget then for actively recruiting the new director? I suppose that may be potentially in the time frame of our next budget, but has there been discussion about hiring a recruiting agency to go after and target some
There has
top
not
skill?
been, but it's a great idea.
That's what I can tell you that's been back in my mind. In terms of budgeting, you know, like your budget, this is a framework. And I don't think we can really allocate that until we get there, but it is certainly in the back of my mind.
I think that's really critical in the future, that we go after some top talent. I truly think that we're at a transformational time that we need ideas that are larger than our community sometimes for some key positions. And unfortunately, the performance of the agency in the past has been complicated and less than satisfactory in my mind. And I think that directly was a result of the active recruitment, which I just moved back to Frankfurt last time and actually just about threw my hat in the ring at the time for that position. And I was disappointed in the ultimate results because I didn't think we thought big enough. So, thank you.
Squire Tracy.
Just a comment. I think the announcement of the interim, whoever it may be, is going to speak volumes in regards to people buying in and taking KCDC serious. So, good luck.
Thank you.
Alrighty. Guys, thank you very much. Appreciate y'all coming tonight and presenting
you.
to the court. Alrighty. righty, next I believe Mr. Todd Akers. There he is. Thank you for being with us tonight.
Yeah, thank you for having me. So I guess I'm here to present the budget and the plan of work. Anybody, I guess everybody's seen it, or anybody got any questions on that part of it? I'll give you just a little bit of what's going on. So tomorrow, we are having a tree giveaway. You can come down and get some trees, seedlings, and we do that every year. Last year, I think we gave away 800 trees. This year, we got 900, so hopefully, and they were gone last year, I think before 9 o'clock. So.
That's a good problem to have.
Yeah, it is. And to get a little bit on the scrap drive, I know she mentioned it, we do the scrap drive side of it. We do take the money and do for scholarships. It's not a whole lot of money that we get from it, but we just put it in the pot for scholarships. But every little piece of metal or anything that, we can keep out of the landfills is good. So we try to do that twice a year.
Is that all iron, or you got any kind of metal?
Any kind of metal. We'll take appliances, aluminum, obviously copper, but not a lot of that comes in. But yeah, any kind of metal.
You gotta get your own copper.
Yeah. And sign-ups for cost share, they're still going on. One of the things we started last year was the urban cost share, which this year we've approved 127 cost shares for that. So that has gone, really good. So that's pretty much the stuff that's going on this month and next month. Of course, we are taking applications for scholarships, so, if you got anybody that wants to apply for that, that'd be good. Any questions y'all have, or?
No questions, just thank you for what you do.
Okay. Thank you very much. All right, well, I appreciate it. And if you need anything, Crystal's down there every day, so.
Well, I know y'all do a lot of big things and you support a lot of programs, 4-H and extension and things like that. So I want to echo Squire Tracy, we appreciate everything you all do.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yep.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask, what species of trees will you have tomorrow?
There is I know of 3, white oak and the persimmons and pawpaw. Now, they do give I think it's a white pine, they do give those away too. So, but there is a couple of more, but I can't remember what they were. But yeah, there's several species.
Good white oak would be worth $600-700 in 25 years.
Yeah, it would. Now, we try to do that with the white oak just because it's going to be, I think it's going to be a real big commodity later on, and like say 20 years from now.
I've heard this has maybe a little to do with that. I've heard a gentleman, a timber cutter, say that the federal government's going to start making you plant 2 for every one you cut.
Well, that could happen. It could.
And where are these going to be? Where could you pick one of those up?
They are at the conservation office. They're
Okay.
in the back behind the conservation office where we have our garage. They're set up, and they'll start giving them away at 8 o'clock. So.
And that's at Lakeview Park in the business park, if anybody doesn't know where that is, maybe watching.
Yeah. So. All right. Well, I appreciate it.
Thanks again. I appreciate your time.
All right.
Alrighty, next I believe, I don't know if anybody's here from Farmdale, I don't believe so. We're just, they're turning in their annual report, I don't think, look pretty standard from what I looked through. So if anybody has any questions, we could send the emails to them. Oh, Squire Sebastian.
I was just going to say they continue to have a material and significant weakness found in here. Part of that is because of the makeup of the board, and they utilize their audit firm to do their financials rather than doing that internally. So until they change their practice, that's going to continue to show as
material and a significant weakness.
Gotcha. Alrighty, next one, I believe, Kim, is this you? You gonna talk about the agreement with Borough Pest Control?
It's basically the same thing as the jail. These got bought out. Nothing's changed.
Money's all the same?
Yes.
Okay, questions for Kim on that? Seeing none, we're gonna move on. Next, I believe there's a lease agreement with Commonwealth of Kentucky Division of Real Properties. And this is for Commonwealth Attorney's Office over in the courthouse. So this is a pass-through, right?
Judge, just a question. This had a February 28th deadline. Do we know if we are within compliance to?
They sent that to the wrong address, so when I called Real Properties, we just received it last week, and then we had a meeting coming up, so if they could extend it for us, and they said that is fine, no problem, but they sent it to 312 instead of 321, and we literally took 6 weeks to get it.
Thank you. Alrighty. Next, I believe Tammy is here. Good evening, Tammy. How are you?
Doing well, thank you. Squire Wisman brought this grant to my attention. This is a resolution to apply for the Urban and Community Forestry Assistance Grant in the amount of $250,000. This grant is offered through the Kentucky Energy and Environment Cabinet Division of Forestry, and there is no match requirement for this grant. Projects must be completed in 4 years, and the proposals must deliver 100% of the funding and program benefits to underserved and disadvantaged communities. So since this is Squire Wisman's project, I'm going to let him talk to you about the details.
Can I ask something really quick?
Please.
Normally, we get an abstract with it that gives us a lot of detail.
Yeah.
Is there one that we're gonna have? Is there one we'll get?
Yes, I'm sorry that there was not one.
I understand. Just
Under a
asking.
time constraint to get this to you, since I think Squire Wisman and I, it snuck up on us, so, yeah.
And again, how much can be requested? I wrote down the match answer.
The projects
'cause I have
are
questions about
like
that.
in the amount of $1,000 to $250,000, and Squire Wisman is planning, I think, we're planning to apply for the $250,000 mark.
All right, thank you.
And these applications were due this Friday, but they've extended the deadline to April the 5th.
Okay, thank you.
So we got a couple more weeks to get everything in line.
And Judge, this was brought to my attention from a friend in the governor's office, and seems to be that it's very likely a one-time thing. It's part of the American Inflation Reduction Act, that 1.5 billion, I think, was put into these programs, and Kentucky was able to get 1.8 million in allocated funds for this program, with applications maxing at $250,000, and it's effectively for creating tree canopy in underserved communities, and there is a census data requirement for the areas. We've got a web portal, we can show that, but it's primarily the city's boundaries, but it extends into almost all of our districts. The Chopeville, for instance, and Benson Valley is included, US 60, it goes into Trumbo Bottom and some of the areas outside of the city boundaries. But the thought is, because it is limited to public-owned spaces, that this would be a fantastic opportunity for us to identify areas throughout the community where we can, Andrew's got a graphic I sent him there, that's the outline of the inclusive area that could be eligible for these plantings. So the thought, in my mind anyway, is that we apply just for putting trees in the ground. This can be in medians and islands along the state highways. I've been in touch with the state Department of Transportation already to support us in the efforts, as well as the city, talking with the mayor and otherwise about where we can most effectively remove things like concrete medians and put green space in there, where we can mitigate stormwater runoff. We can do some education components with that, But a lot of the things that we've talked about in this body over the last year and a half or so, we could have some impact here. So we have a little bit of work. Like I said, it kind of snuck up on us, and the deadline has thankfully been extended. But there is some ability to do some planning. But they are seemingly looking for putting trees in the ground. So every tree that we plant helps reduce stormwater runoff, and hopefully we can start getting rid of some of our heat islands, which are most of our highways into the community, that there were no plantings ever done. So I thought it was a great opportunity, great grant for us to apply to, and some sizable funds that we could actually make a big impact.
Tammy, do you know if funds can only be used to physically buy and plant the trees, or if there was a concrete island that needed to be removed, can the funds be used for that? That's one question. I'm all for it. You know me, I love trees, and then there's no match. I mean, I think it's a win-win.
I've got that answer, Judge. I talked with the administrator for the grant program, and it can be included for removal of concrete, only specifically in planting areas, and can also be included for aftercare. They want to make sure that whatever we do lives, and so we can include staff time and maintenance for a couple of years on those two. So.
That's great. Awesome. Yep. Thank you.
Welcome.
All righty. I believe Ally is with us. She has a couple items. Good evening, Ally. How are you doing?
Hi, doing well. Good evening again, members of the court. This first one is the resolution to apply for the Household Hazardous Waste Grant through the state. We host 2 events every year, spring and fall, and we hire this contractor that is a state-approved contractor to dispose of household hazardous waste that's brought in from the community. So they gave us a quote of $19,500, so that's what I applied for, and then $2,500 has been kind of the standard for advertising for these events via the State Journal and Frankfurt Plant Board ads.
Any questions on this for Ally? Alrighty, next agenda item, please.
Next one, this is a resolution to apply for the state grant, the Kentucky Pride Recycling Grant from the EEC. For this one, I've requested funds for an aluminum can recycling drive at all county schools. And we have enough that I requested to incorporate the city as well, even private schools. That would entail having like an aluminum bin at the front of the school. That would need buy-in from the district, which hasn't been discussed in depth yet, but I just wanted to go ahead and submit and see if we can get those funds first thing. And so we have those containers. The Frank Waste app, we pay for half of that, and the city pays for the other half. So this is the quote I got for this year for $7,000. And then advertising, print advertising, and cable advertising, $5,000. And then direct mailers to what can be recycled, that would be $7,000 with Staples. So that's a total of $23,000. Then the 25% match is always met through just personnel time. So.
Squire Wisman.
Judge, I just want to thank Ally for some forward thinking. The aluminum can recycling has been sort of a point of discussion in our task force, that every day we see these aluminum ingots flowing through our community, and most people don't know about the life cycle of aluminum, which can be recycled indefinitely, that our aluminum cans that we throw in our recycling go to Berea to be smelted, put into those big ingots that go to Louisville on railroad, and then are made right back into the products that we use again and again and again. So we thought, we've been talking and discussing, and I'm glad Ally included in this application, what a better way than to create an education program with Ally's educational background for our school children to learn about that life cycle in a real tangible way in our community that would address a broader spectrum of people in our town to the importance and the usefulness of recycling post-pandemic, when so many people have sort of stopped. We're looking for ways to bring it back to the forefront, and I think in your report on our solid waste that's sort of evident that we are seeing the uptick of recycling again. Hopefully this will add even more to it.
Yeah, the hope is a continued increase in recycling. The hope is to get all schools on board with having recycling available at their school, which is something that they fund, but trying to promote it more. And then in the grant writing to the state, I included about the aluminum ingots, so hopefully we get approval for that education program.
We were talking about maybe making that a little bit of a competition between the schools, right, in their, and maybe everybody gets a pizza party at the end, but something fun. So
Yeah.
good way for us to engage the community.
Absolutely.
Squire Tanner.
Just a comment, nothing else. I have a friend that works for Wise Aluminum. He said it was 1,200,000 cans in each one of those ingots.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That's what he said. Because they go to Sheffield, I think, Sheffield, Alabama to make more cans, or parts of it does.
Yeah, I have to look at those stats. That's really impressive.
A lot of times those ingots are still warm when they go by.
Yeah.
I've been standing out there and felt it.
Somebody's recycling a lot of cans too.
All right, Ally, let's go to the final.
My last one, the composting grant. This is a resolution to apply for the Kentucky Pride Compost Grant with the EEC. This year, what we're requesting is a new route assistant lightning loader grapple, which is $75,000 from the state. A route assistant lightning loader body, $71,000, and that's for efficiency with yard waste pickup. So the county would have to purchase the truck itself for the grapple loader truck, but the state said I can go ahead and try to apply for the different components of the truck. So we're hoping that they can pay for those pieces, and then we got a quote from one retailer for about $100,000 for the Mack truck itself. And so we'll kind of look and see what we can get if we get approval for these items. And again, that would help yard waste residential pickup be really, really quick and painless for staff. And then an automatic compost bagging machine for $78,000 paid for by the state is something I'm applying for as well. And so if we were to distribute compost, this would be good for our giveaways, or if participating retailers want to work with us for selling county compost, this would empower us to do that, be more efficient. And let's see what else. Every year we get a chipper service for, they quoted me $11,000, and that's just all the yard waste that's collected gets chipped for the compost pad. And then the backyard composting program, residents take a class with me at the library and they get a composter. And so just helping with waste diversion with food waste, composting programs in the classroom, and advertising. So that's our biggest one.
Ally, I just want to say thank you. You're digging in deep, and you're making us all proud, and what you're doing in the schools and in the community, and it's, all this is good things. So I just want to say.
And have y'all seen her adorable videos? Like, seriously.
Oh, yeah.
They're the cutest things I've ever seen in my whole life.
Thank you guys, it's fun, I'm having fun. All right.
All righty, thank you, Ally.
Thank you, guys.
Yep.
The search form, but now they talk about it.
Oh my God, I share them all over the place.
Robert, I believe you're up next. How are you doing this evening?
I'm well, how are you all?
Doing well, thank you.
In the court, item 20 on your agenda is a resolution denying the zone map amendment request of 1.5 acres of property located at 1120 Duckers Road. Planning Commission held a public hearing on November the 9th, tabled the item for a summary and reconvened on February the 8th for discussion and establishment of findings of fact. They adopted two. They're noted on the bottom of your resolution and have forwarded a recommendation of denial to the Fiscal Court by a vote of 6-0.
Any questions for Robert on this one? Alrighty, seeing none, let's go to the next one, please.
Item 22, or 21, excuse me. Zone map amendment for 2.3 acres of property located at 2311 Lawrenceburg Road. Zone map amendment request is for change from industrial general to highway commercial district. Planning Commission held a public hearing, accepted testimony and evidence into the record on February the 8th. Went ahead and adopted a summary of the evidence, established findings of fact to the 4 located on page 1 of your ordinance, and by unanimous vote recommends approval to the Fiscal Court.
Okay, I believe, as far as Sebastian, this is in your area, correct?
Yes, sir.
Anything you want to say about it?
Had no feedback from
Okay.
anyone, and it would seem appropriate given the landscape of the type of properties and uses around this property.
Okay, perfect. Any other questions for Robert on this one? This is the first reading, correct?
Yes.
All righty, thank you.
Thank you.
All righty, before we get Amy on, I want to like to take a 5-minute recess. It's been a couple hours, so let's take 5 minutes, and then we'll reconvene if that's okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're live, we're moving again. Thank you everybody for the break. And I believe our next agenda item is with our treasurer, and she is away at training right now, but I think she is on via Zoom. Good evening.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Andrew, can you turn that up just a little bit more for us, please? All right, go ahead, Amy.
Okay, so this is agenda item number 22, and I'm asking the court for authorization to close a savings account that is at Commonwealth Credit Union. This is the proceeds of a CD that just matured. It's around $27,000. I'd like to close this account and move it into a West Banco account that's earning over 4%.
Okay, any questions for Amy on that? Squire Witzman.
Yeah, Amy, did you put out an all-call for response, or are these just the going rates of current CDs that you looked at multiple banks?
I think she's using
I'm not asking to open a CD. I'm simply going to put it into the operating account. This is just a CD that has already matured.
This is an existing West Banco operating at 4.25%?
Yes,
Okay.
that's correct.
Thank you.
All righty, Amy. Next agenda item, please.
Okay, agenda item number 23. This is the second reading of budget amendment number 3. The first reading was February 15th. It has been approved by BLG, so I'm bringing it before you for the second reading. If you'll look on the second page of the agenda abstract, I would like to bring up how it will affect our current budget. With this amendment, the budget for 23-24 will increase by 1.365774 and total $53,745,753. The budget for this fiscal year, excluding our capital expenses and federal projects, will increase by $296,782 and total $32,664,387.
Alrighty, questions for Amy on this agenda item, on amendment number 3? They're looking pretty hard, Amy. That's why I'm giving them a minute.
Okay.
Everybody good? Alrighty. Let's go ahead to the next, please.
Okay, agenda item number 24, budget transfers. All of these pertain to the jail. The first one of $23,477 is a result of this amendment that we just looked at, and that is for the door locks. And then the $10,000, $45,000 were requested by the jailer.
Amy, did we lose you?
No, I'm still here.
Okay, I think you had one more, didn't you? You had 45,000?
The $10,000 and $45,000 were both requested by the jailer.
Okay. Sorry, I think you broke out there for a minute. We didn't hear it last bit. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, questions for Amy on these transfers? Alrighty, I guess let's move on to the next one, please.
Okay, the agenda item 25, these are cash transfers, and I usually do these on a quarterly basis as I project that funds need to be replenished. Cash transfers don't increase or decrease the overall fund budget.
Questions from the court on this agenda item? All right, Amy, treasurer's report, please.
Okay, I have a report for the 8 months ending February 29th of '24. Our receipts are $34,669,675. Expenses, $23,247,083. Or if you add in the fund balance as of June 30th of '23, our fund balance is $32,658,038. And I do like to remind you that does include the bond. I've also included the revenue and the expenses as of March 15th. I do want to point out it's not on this report, but at our last court, someone had asked if we had received receipts for distilled spirits. And this week we did receive one check. It's for $984,699.
Any questions or comments for Amy on the treasurer's report? Seeing none, Amy, I believe you are done for the night. I appreciate you zooming on with us, and hope your training goes well the rest of the week.
Thank you so much.
Take care. All right. Next, payment of claims. Kim, I believe this is you. Is there any questions for Kim on the payment of claims? Squire Sebastian.
I know we talked about this earlier, but there continues to be an overage in the health cost pool. And so I just bring that up as we launch into budget times, because it's almost $6,000 this month.
Yeah.
And I mean, that, that's consistently a matter that this body discusses.
Squire Tracy.
With that being said, I know early on that was the medical group was a big issue for, I think, for you and the task force as well. And I know Squire Dykes has brought up the mental health aspect of it, or lack thereof. Do you see there being any, I guess, digging into that to see if that is the best group or if that's the best service out there?
I believe it is from what we've heard and researched, but I do know, because I think fire's looking at it and the jail's looking at it, that we're going to have to RFP it, because it's going to put us over a certain amount. Is that correct? Remember that?
Yeah, you're talking about middle?
Yeah.
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 Yeah, we'll have to RFP.
Yeah. But what about the medical service itself that's coming in repeatedly over and above?
Yeah.
It's maybe at the jail.
Yeah, at the jail.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we can have them back and talk to us again, and I think that's what the jailer was getting at, as far as, do we go ahead and just make that pool bigger so we don't have to look at it every month, or do we keep doing it like we're doing it? And so I believe, and Amy's not on anymore, she would hope that we could look at what the new number needed to be and make it bigger, so we don't have to come through the bills.
But I think, I guess where I'm looking at it is most people, when they know what your budget is, they're gonna take it.
Yeah.
So if you have that work pool and they know it's out there and they know how much they can get, they're gonna
I know they have some paperwork.
maximize it.
They bill, they have, But yeah, we can definitely need to talk about it. I mean, I'm not super knowledgeable on it. I mean, we were in that one meeting together. I mean, that's about the extent that I know of it, but Ron could probably break that down a whole lot better than I could. Spartanic.
Maybe it's kind of the same question, but, and I was here obviously whenever we left the contract, because I think the former jailer's the one that presented it to us to go with this company. What are we getting and what are we not getting? Because we owe money every month. What are we paying for and what are we getting billed for? I mean, I understand you can put a figure in there and then you won't have to worry about it being ever over, but you can make it, but pointing out they're going to get 100% of it.
Yeah, I mean, my thought was,
if we're buying something, what are we buying and what are we having to pay for extra?
my thought is, after Ron came back during the budget session and showed that it was that much more, is that we need to have that company back and have them go through it detailed with all of us to say what it's covering and what it's not, and why the prices are the way they are.
Why don't we get billed? I thought we was paying them by the contract here to take care of it.
Yeah.
So if we're just paying him a contract to show up?
Yeah.
You know, obviously, I wouldn't think that's correct, but
Yeah.
we need to find out what we're buying.
Yep, but that was my intention, is go ahead and we'll pull another meeting together. I mean, they came and had that one meeting with us, but I think there's a lot more questions that need to be asked now. We also talked about doing, mental health on our own, not through their agency, and what that looks like, and.
Well, we just spent some money on mental health, didn't we, last week?
Not for the,
Not
not
for
for
them,
inmates.
Not for the jail?
Yeah, no.
Not for inmates.
No.
No, you're correct, that's correct, back.
Yeah, for first responders.
It's all different.
So
But here's the other, what I think that I heard, and please tell me if I'm wrong, because I could have heard it incorrectly, but what I think I heard is that the malpractice insurance just went sky high. I'm confused as to why we are not doing Vivitrol shots instead of Suboxone. I don't understand that. That doesn't make any sense to me. You get a shot once a month. That doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
So there are other things that
Yeah.
can happen here. None of this makes any sense to me.
Well, and I think it's time now to have them back, and we'll all be in a, committee of the whole or something, and we just need to figure it out. I don't know the answers, I really don't, I mean, we're
Well,
all.
there are other answers to be had,
I'm
is
with
what
you.
I'm saying.
Yeah.
There are other options here, and I'm concerned that, I'm just concerned.
Okay,
I'll leave it.
okay, well stated. Squire with me.
Judge, I know there's a preference among some of our staff that thinks that it's the best option, but I don't know that that is the case. I think it's high time we, in the next 2 months before we finalize a budget, that we explore options. Whether that's a full bidding of our healthcare services for a jail, I don't know. Could you maybe dedicate some staff or time or some resource to exploring what all of the other jails in the state are, or who the service providers are for them? And it is my busiest time of year. I would volunteer to do it right now, but I think it's high time we look at other options, because we're at a capacity of, 75% of our capacity at the jail, and in past, we were much higher, and yet we still have rates coming in much more than what we've seen in previous years. It tells me we've got a problem here, and if we ever go to full capacity, then we have a big line item coming in that we really need to take an active effort to review this. And I don't remember, I didn't meet with the group before, I don't believe. If there was a presentation, maybe that was the previous court, but.
It was finance.
Oh, is it finance? Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
wasn't the jail task force then,
Yeah.
so we've never actually looked at it. There's been a little conversation, but now that it's budget time, I'm hoping we really get into
Yeah, I think we
this
pull
one.
everybody together, because it's a big number, and that's a big increase.
Yeah, I think the increase is so large at this point.
It justifies it.
We don't have any choice but to look
Yeah.
to see if there are better options. I don't think there's any choice.
If it
That
eliminates that,
increase is actually about what we'll pay in overages in a year's time.
if it stops the overage, it wouldn't be too bad, but if they're gonna continue, and that's what I understood him saying, it didn't necessarily.
Well, and you're
stop.
not gonna stop overages, because there is no way to know, like, if you have one person come in that is really ill, you're gonna have those overages, and you've got really sick people in the jails right now, because you're putting people that are addicted to things in jail instead of where they need to be, and I won't get on my soapbox, but that's what we're doing with them. So that's what's gonna happen. You're gonna have people, more and more and more people come in very, very ill. We're gonna have overages, so we need to think of a different way to do this.
Years ago, and I'm sure things, years ago, but I'm sure things changed, jailers had the authority to turn those people down. They didn't have to take them, and send them to the hospital. And they actually had to send a guard with them, would might run the price of it. They didn't have to put them in jail.
Are there any other questions for Kim on the claims? It's a great conversation, don't get me wrong. This is a bigger discussion that we need to have a meeting, but I just looked down, I'm like, hold on, we're talking about payment of claims. I forgot what we were talking about. It's a good conversation that needs to be had.
You have to shop it. There's
no.
just no way around it.
Kim, do you have anything? I don't know why I'm looking at you for questions to
I
yourself.
don't.
I'm sorry. Alrighty.
I got a bet on how long this lasts.
Yep. All right. righty, seeing no other questions for Kim, authorization to go into closed session per KRS 61.8101F. Discussions or hearings which might lead to the appointment, discipline, or dismissal of an individual employee.
So moved.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. We are in closed session, please. Duke, you're... All righty, thank you. All righty, we're back in open session. Next agenda item is authorization to hire an administrative assistant for the road department. Anybody have anything on that one? Seeing none, other business. Anybody have other business? Squire Tanner, please turn your, thank you.
I would like to request our county attorney, and I get another job, is to review our agreement with KCDC and our interlocal agreement with the city to see what it actually covers on new industry or businesses on revenue sharing.
Okay.
I looked at the cherry, provided me where it was, and I looked it up. I looked it over, and I'm not sure that needs some explanations to me. What is new business? Is that a new business in an empty building? I mean, those kind of things are on my mind.
Okay.
And it needs to be, make sure there is no loopholes in it, because this bill that they've got laying there on the annexation bill is going to change the game a little bit. You've got to have a contract. Yeah, and we got one. But I don't know how good it is.
Okay. You got that? Squire Whitson.
Judge, I wanted to bring up a concern. We're getting into budget session. At one of our recent trainings, we had a lot of conversation there about health insurance, and the company specifically that we have currently, concerns about what their next invoice will be to us. So I'm wanting to bring up, I suppose, a discussion. I think it's high time we start having a discussion then about bidding that health
Amy and I have
insurance.
already talked about that, and we'll be bringing something to you all, because, yeah, that's basically where we are, so yes.
Okay. What do you have a time frame that will be before our budget?
Yeah,
our new
I
budget?
hope so, yeah, because, I mean, we're gonna, I'm not sure on that. Let's circle back with Amy. She kind of has a timeline of everything that's going on right now, so I'm gonna defer to her. So we can circle back. If you want, set some time up with me next week, Eric, and we'll Squire Wisman, and we'll do that.
Okay.
Anything else? We ready to go? Alrighty, we're gonna move on into voting session. Clerk, please call roll.
Squire Sebastian.
Here.
Squire Blackburn.
Present.
Squire Dykus.
Here.
Squire Tracy.
Here.
Squire Tanner.
Here.
Squire Wisman.
Present.
Judge Mueller.
Present, thank you. Authorization for approval of minutes from regular meeting of February 15th, 2024.
So moved. A second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Authorization for approval of minutes from regular meeting of February 28th, 2024.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Authorization for approval of minutes from special meeting of March 5, 2024.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Authorization for approval of minutes from special meeting of March 12th, 2024.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Authorization to receive final payment of 2023 excess fees, county clerk.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Authorization to purchase a 2023 Dodge Durango through State Master Agreement from Don Franklin Somerset.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Authorization to approve an agreement with Borough Pest Control for the jail.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Authorization to approve an agreement with Anderson County Jail regarding housing inmates.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Authorization to receive the 2024-2025 proposed jail budget.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Authorization to receive Capital Community Economic Industrial Development Authority, DBA Kentucky Capital Development Corporation, fiscal year 2024-2025 budget. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes.
We need a motion for that.
Authorization to receive reports from 2024-2025 plan of work and 2024-2025 annual budget from the Franklin County Conservation District.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Authorization to receive Farmdale Sanitation District Audit Report for years ended June 30th, 2022 and 2023.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Motion passes. Authorization to an approved agreement with Borough Pest Control for the other county buildings.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Authorization to approve a lease agreement with Commonwealth of Kentucky Division of Real Properties.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Motion passes. Authorization to approve a resolution authorizing the filing of an application to Kentucky Energy Environmental Cabinet Division of Forestry Urban and Community Forestry Assistant Grant.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Authorization to approve a resolution authorizing the filing of an application for 2024-2025 Household Hazardous Waste Management Grant Funds with the Kentucky Energy Environmental Cabinet Division of Waste Management.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Authorization to approve a resolution authorizing the filing of an application for 2024-2025 Kentucky Pride Fund Recycling Grant Fund with the Kentucky Energy Environmental Cabinet Division of Waste Management.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Authorization to approve a resolution authorizing the filing of an application for 2024-2025 Kentucky Pride Fund Composting Grant Fund with the Kentucky Energy Environmental Cabinet Division of Waste Management.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. It is. Authorization to approve a resolution denying the rezoning of property of 1.504 acre tract from the Rural Residential District RR to Limited Commercial CL. The property is identified as a portion of PVA map number 104-00-00-012.00 located at 1120 Duckers Road, US 421.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. This is just the first reading and approval of an ordinance amending the table of special ordinances, Section 1, zoning map changes of the Franklin County Code of Ordinance for a 2.36 acre tract located at 2311 Lawrenceburg Road from General Industrial District IG to Highway Commercial District CH. The property is part of Lot 21 of the Child subdivision as described in Deed Book 581, page 450 in the office of the Franklin County Clerk and further identified as PVA map number 051-00-00-042.00. We'll vote on that next court meeting. Authorize the treasurer to close the savings account with Commonwealth Credit Union and deposit the balance into West Banco operating checking account.
So moved.
Second. Did you get that, clerk?
Yes.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Second reading approval of Amendment 3 to Ordinance Number 7-2023 relating to budget for fiscal year 2023-2024.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Authorization to approve budget transfers.
So moved.
Second.
Did you get that, clerk?
Yes.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Authorization to approve cash transfers.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Authorization to receive treasurer's report.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Payment of claims. Is there a motion to deny any payment of claims? No motion was made. Let the record reflect claims are to be paid. Authorization to hire Justin Carmack as an administrative assistant for the road department.
So moved.
Second.
Did you get that, clerk?
Yes.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Authorization to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. We are adjourned. Thank you.